Hello everybody, Final Rich here with what is quite frankly going to be an epic video. Now, this video is brought to you by Germany. We've got a German beer here. Schoferhofen grapefruit. Now, I used to work at a brewery. And this beer was, let's just say, when I worked on the primary filters, this wouldn't have passed. Not bad, not bad. And also, our second sponsor is Madhouse. First Damage. Here's a picture of the guys. A record that was recorded in Germany, and it's on Beer and Jesus Records, and it's brought to you by the vinyl community's one and only metal theologian. Now, my next video is going to be was inspired by the metal theologian, and one of the most stoic gentlemen in the vinyl community. And one more thing before we get started. This is the Hepcat record I got on Record Store Day. If you haven't seen my Record Store Day video, go check it out. It is by far the best Record Store Day video that's out there. Now, whenever I put this shirt on, I get inspiration. I can't explain it. And this is going to be 30 albums that are better than OK Computer by Radiohead, or 1001 other albums you need to listen to before you die. First one. Now, I'm going to show 30 albums that I think should be included on the list. And in order to do that, I've got 30 albums here that I'm taking off, okay? And the first one we're taking off is Radiohead, OK Computer. It's crossed off. Now, what are we going to replace that with? Well, we're going to replace it with the Beatles' Magical Mystery Tour. An obvious choice. Now, there's been several versions of this book. The list I looked at seems like a pretty recent list because there were some newer records on there. And this was not on there. In fact, I don't think any of these are on there. But I could be wrong, you know. But any record that has Strawberry Fields Forever and I Am the Walrus deserves to be heard before you die. Fantastic. Psych leanings. This record could have been the best Psych album ever. And I've thought about doing a video on that topic before. So we'll see. Okay, what's next on the list? Tina Turner, Private Dancer. Now, it's probably a good album. My youngest daughter loved Tina Turner. In fact, she used to call Tina Turner her mom and Michael Jackson her dad. And then I remember as she got a little bit older, she asked me, "Dad, would you let me stay at Michael Jackson's house?" And I told her, "Yeah, you're a girl, you know. You don't have nothing to worry about." But anyways, what am I going to replace Tina Turner with? I'm going to replace it with Prince, Dirty Mind. I think his best album that I have heard. Now, I haven't heard all of his albums. I think it's Sign of the Times. I was at somebody's house, and they played side one of that album before we went out, and it was really good. So I need to check that album out. But anyways, this is my second one that's jumping on the list. Okay, what's next? Metallica and Justice for All. You're a goner. Now, that song, that album, it just sounds kind of weird, man. It doesn't have a good sound to it. The bass is like I don't know, lost in the woods. The songs have a lot of epic songs, maybe a few too many. But I'm going to replace that with a Judas Priest, Hell Bent for Leather. This is a way better heavy metal album than Injustice for All. And what's funny, man, look at Rob Halford there. He's got a beard. And they call him Robert Halford. Okay, what's next on the line? You got Britney Spears, Baby One More Time. Come on, get serious. And what am I going to replace that with? Well, I'm going to replace it with Love's debut. It looked like Love's second and third album are on the list, but their debut, I didn't see it on there. This is more of a garagey affair, and I think this is an excellent album. Excellent. Okay. Joan Baez, self-titled. You're a loser. I mean, nobody needs to hear that before you die. I mean, come on. And you know what's interesting? I have the Woodstock Expanded Super Deluxe Edition, and it has a lot of stuff that wasn't included in the film. And it has some Joan Baez doing a duet with some guy, and she sings in a normal voice, and she sounds spectacular. But anyways, I'm replacing Joan Baez with a recent purchase of mine, Vicente Fernandez, Me Está Esperando Maria. His fifth album, and this guy can sing. Fantastic album. Okay, what's next? We got the Minutemen. Double nickels on the dime. Some of that album's good. Some of it's... but it's overrated. And I'm going to replace that with Death in June. Their debut album, The Guilty Have No Pride. Side one of this album is fantastic. I think it's one of the best albums of the early 80s. All four songs on side one, they have kind of a similar sound, but they're all completely different. In fact, there's like marimba drums, there's trumpet playing. It's a spectacular, should I say, goth or industrial album. It's fantastic. Next on the list, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Slanted and Enchanted. Now, I remember the early Chili Peppers. They had some songs that I actually liked, but they developed into something that I just don't like. And when the Super Bowl was played in New York City a number of years back now, I mean, the Jets weren't in it, but they had Bruno Mars as the halftime singer. And I guess the producers were a little scared, so they had Red Hot Chili Peppers come out and do a few songs in the middle of his set. It would have been better just let Bruno Mars do the whole set. It would have been way better. And I told my wife, and they were talking about how cold it was at this game. And I told my wife, I bet you the Red Hot Chili Peppers come out with no shirts on. And she goes, huh? What are you talking about? It's fucking freezing. And sure enough, they came out with no shirts on. What a pose. That's a good enough reason to take them off the list. And I'm replacing them with one of the best 1977 punk albums ever, Johnny Thunders and the Heartbreakers, LAMF. The Lost 77 mixes. That's what you want to get, the Lost 77 mixes. Apparently the album mix and the cassette mix were two different mixes. The cassette mix supposedly was superior, and that's what this is. Fantastic. Next one. Marvin Gaye, Here My Dear. I guess it's got some lovely tunes on it. I used to have the CD. But come on. Marvin Gaye, I Want You. Far superior album, I think. It's just a great flow. And, I want you. But I want you to want me too. Come on. Okay, what's next? Temptations, All Directions. Now this is an overrated album. Just because it has Papa Was a Rolling Stone on it, which is a pretty good song, but most of the album, it's subpar. And I'm going to replace it with Bob Marley, Rastaman, Vibrations. I think his best album, if not, it's in the top 3 for me. Just a fantastic record, man. And it's got Night Shift on there. Fantastic. I'm working in the night shift, driving the forklift. Yeah, that was me, brother. What's next? Sonic Youth, Daydream Nation. Now, I had the CD of this, and I wouldn't say it's a bad album, but I don't think I ever got through the whole thing listening to it, in one sitting. There's probably some of the songs I've never even heard yet, It's just too long and drawn out. They can't really sing. And I'm going to replace that with Butthole Surfers, Independent Worm Saloon. Now this dude could sing. Gimme Haynes, he was in my top 20 punk rock singers. And he still would be. He's great. This was produced by Jack Bruce? John Paul Jones from Led Zeppelin. And this is fantastic, man. It's got Who Was in My Room Last Night, which was a single. Chewing George Lucas's Chocolate. Alcohol, but some dispute over t-shirt sales, and it ends with Dancing Fool. Fantastic, man. That's just side 1. Just a great album, man. Red Hot Chili Peppers. Maybe their best album. Next. Dexy's Midnight Runners, Don't Stand Me Down. Now, I've never heard the album, but any album that contains Come On Eileen or whatever the hell that song was does not deserve to be on this list, and nobody needs to hear that before they die. And I'm going to replace that with I think it's a classic album. Wall of Voodoo, Call of the West. This is the album that has Mexican radio on it. The first song on side 2. The first song on side 1 is Tomorrow. That was also a single that was played on K-Rock. But it's got on Interstate 15, a kind of a slower spaghetti western feel. Fantastic. And then Lost Weekend is a great song. And I dedicate that song to Steve Carlson, because it talks about this guy he wants to start a swimming pool business, Forgot the exact words. I should have wrote it down, because you know how well I recite poetry. Okay. Another overrated album is Weather Report, Heavy Weather. Now this is the album people go on about, because it's got Jaco Pastorius. The albums before Jaco, I think, are superior to any of the albums Jaco's on. And I picked this one, man. Weather Report, Sweet Nighter. And it got that Russian guy or something, man, playing bass. Miroslav Vicios? Whatever. Starts out with Boogie Woogie Waltz. What a great album, man. Now this next one I'm going to take off the list is an album I've never heard, so it's kind of not fair. But I'm not really big into organ jazz. And it's Jimmy Smith, Back at the Chicken Shack. Now everybody can leave their comments how great of an album that is. But I'm replacing it with Electric Mud by Muddy Waters. An album that gets panned by the critics. They said it was a sellout. That's a load of crap, man. He's trying something different. And I don't know, man. It seems kind of racist to me to pigeonhole this guy. You can only do this kind of sound. They wouldn't do that with a white guy. Great album, man. Great psychedelic blues album. The next album, that's a goner. It's Kanye West, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. You're a loser. And I'm replacing that with a rap masterpiece. This is Death Grips. And what is this called? Ex-Military. Just a fantastic rap album. It's got, some of the songs sound like old school rap. Other songs have like an industrial sound to them. The vocalist he barks out the lyrics. I mean, he isn't subtle. I mean, he's angry. He sounds like it, man. He's just puts a lot of energy and feeling into it. And the samples they use are just fantastic, man. I mean, they have Charles Manson sampled and just fantastic. Link Ray and let me wet my whistle. Yeah, that's pretty good. I don't know if I could drink 12 of them though. Next. Now, I didn't know live albums were included, but I saw this one on there, and it stuck out like a sore thumb. Peter Frampton, Frampton Comes Alive. Now, I bought this album when it came out, based on the 2 singles they used to play on the radio. And I bought the album, and the 2 singles were really my 2 favorite songs on the album, man. I thought it kind of sucked back then. Now I think, considering his next album was I'm in You, You're in Me. And on the cover of the album, he's in a kimono, whatever those Japanese things. A lot of people don't know, but the kimono killed rock and roll. And Peter Frampton was right at the head of that. Now, what live album I'm going to replace that with? Well, I think the best live album ever, you got Rock and Roll Animal by Lou Reed. If you haven't heard this, check it out. It is just unreal. It starts with intro and then Sweet Jane. A great version of Sweet Jane. And then I think my favorite version of Heroin follows that. The critics hate it though. Okay, now talking about rock and roll dying in the 70s. This next one is a perfect example of that. ELO, Out of the Blue. A double album that's a favorite of many, but I think it's a horribly produced. It's not rock and roll, man. I'm going to replace that with a really rock and roll. We got the Crass with, what do they call this? The Feeding of the 5,000. And this is the second sitting, which is the one you want to get. The first issue of this doesn't include the first song. It's really a spoken word thing because the people at the pressing plant or whoever, somebody was too insulted by it and they refused to press the album. So they said, press it without that song. This one has that. Anarcho-punk. Just a great English punk. What's the next one I'm going to take off? LL Cool J. Mama Said Knock You Out. Now, I bought the first LL Cool J album when it came out. And my roommate was amazed, man. He was probably the fastest rapper at the time, you know. But it kind of wore out for me. And I'm going to replace it with this. Eden, Beauty and the Beat. This is a rap masterpiece. Just fantastic. And talk about really cool samples. They have a sample of Davy Jones from the Monkees discussing his music. It's pretty funny, man. But yeah, this is a fantastic album. Okay, next. Gonna be removed. Man, 2 drinks of the beer and I can't even talk. DJ Shadow, Introducing. I bought this album also when it first came out. And it just it did nothing for me. It was like just standard jazz samples. And I mean, I was into jazz earlier in the 70s. I kind of lost interest in it, and this album did not pique my interest whatsoever. So what am I going to replace that with? I think a great album, man. The Sisters of Mercy, First and Last and Always. Just a fantastic album. This is their first full length. I have several 12-inch and a 7-inch, a couple of 7-inch singles of theirs that came out prior to this. The next album was a little more well received, a little more polished, I guess. And I like it, but my favorite is this and the stuff that came out prior. Just a fantastic band. Okay, who's gonna be the next loser? Well, I'm gonna go with Limp Bizkit. I never really cared for them. They were kind of cornballs. And then the name of this album is just enough to remove it from the list. They're trying to be clever, and it's not working. It's Chocolate Starfish and the Hot Dog Flavored Water. You're gone. And I'm going to replace that with a Howlin' Wolf. Moaning in the Moonlight. What a classic album this is, man. It's got Evil, Smokestack Lightning. It's a comp of his singles. Back in the 50s, the blues guys weren't releasing albums, but they put these comps together, and it's fantastic. Howlin' Wolf, man, what a man. Next one that I'm gonna eliminate. ZZ Top Eliminator. Now, I don't own any ZZ Top. I haven't really heard any of their albums all the way through, but I'm kind of thinking I would like their earlier stuff more than the 80s stuff. I heard the 80s music on MTV, and it was okay, but it wasn't great, you know. It wasn't Black Flag or Butthole Surfers or Big Black, you know. And I'm going to replace ZZ Top with another Howlin' Wolf album. And this one is, what is it? Guitar in a Chair. Maybe a self-titled, no? Guitar leaning on my rocking chair. This is fantastic too, man. It's got the Red Rooster, Wang Dang Doodle, Spoonful, Backdoor Man. Holy mackerel. Better than the ZZ Top Eliminator, dude. Might not have been as popular, but... Okay, next one. Elton John, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. Now, I don't dislike Elton John. I think this album is a little bloated. It starts out like tops. Funeral for a Friend, and what is that? Man, what is it? I can't remember. And then the whole intro and the next song are just fantastic. And then it goes into what was that big hit that was on there? God dang. Man, I'm losing my fucking memory, dudes. Anyways, it has some songs, too many, these love ballads where he plays he plays the same chords in every song, and I don't know. To me, it's bloated, so I'm removing it, and I'm going to replace it with another Elton John album, Rock of the Westies. I think his best album, so that tells you my slant on Elton John. This is a rockin' album, man. And I just listened to this a couple of weeks ago, and yeah, it still holds up to me. The next one. Steely Dan, Can't Buy a Thrill. Now, my brother had this, so I've heard this many a times. It had a few good songs on it, but most of it wasn't that memorable to me. And I'm going to replace it with an album that doesn't have a bad song on it, and it's flows so good, and it's a memorable album, and it's Mr. Yellowman. Just a fantastic reggae. I guess this is dance hall reggae. I wasn't really into this at the time. Came out in '82. Just a great album, man. Okay, the next one. It's a singer that I think is a great songwriter, but I've never liked her voice. I don't know. I think it's horrible. And I've never heard this album, but if it's Dolly Parton singing, I don't want to hear it before I die. And it's Dolly Parton, Coat of Many Colors. It's probably the one that has Jolene on it. You know, it's what a bunch of trendy crap. And I'm going to replace it with a country album where the guy can sing and sing his ass off. You got Charlie Rich, Behind Closed Doors. This album blew up when it came out. 73. Just fantastic. One great song after another. We're getting down there. The next album I'm going to remove. It's an important album, which doesn't mean a thing to me. It's considered the first prog album. It's King Crimson and the Court of the Crimson King. You're a goner. Now, I remember when I heard this. It wasn't when it came out. It was probably 1970 or something. And it starts out with 21st Schizoid Man. And I'm thinking, holy mackerel, this is fantastic. I've never heard anything like this. This is great. Then the next song comes on and it's some whimsy, pimsy, baroque. Oh, that's horrible. I'm going to replace it with an important album, man. A classic, Christian Death, Only Theater of Pain. You got Roz Williams on vocals. What a poet this guy was, man. You got Rick Agnew on guitar. Fantastic guitarist. This is an important album in the history of goth. Just fantastic. Maybe the best goth album ever. Well, maybe Bauhaus in a Flat Field. Anyways, it's included. The next one. Now this album was pretty popular, and that's probably why it's on the list, but I think it's mediocre. And it's Eric Clapton, 461 Ocean Boulevard. I just think it's middle of the road. It's not really a rock album. It's just easy listening, man. And I'm going to replace it with Mississippi Fred McDowell, I Do Not Play No Rock and Roll. I figured since that Eric Clapton wasn't really rock and roll, I would put this one that isn't really rock and roll. This is fantastic, man. Great bluesman. I really dig this album. And he'll, Good Morning Little Schoolgirl. And he does this in several songs. He'll go, good morning. Good morning, little schoolgirl. He doesn't get the sentence out until the third try. It's pretty amazing, man. Not for that reason, but okay. The next one. I guess it's a Americana record. I don't know. I haven't heard it. I've heard bits and pieces of it, and I mean, to me, Americana's kind of like country music for liberals, you know? So, it's Wilco Yankee Hotel Foxtrot. I think it's a little bit overrated. And I'm going to replace it with a genuine country album. Got Waylon Jennings, Oh Waylon. And this album is better than that Yankee Doodle Foxtrot for the one song, Lukenbach, Texas. One of the best songs ever. Okay, what's next? Okay, Justin Timberlake, Justified. Now, I've never heard this. Now, when I worked at Miller Brewing, there were several of the ladies that went to go see him play, probably at the Forum or something. And none of them were really music fans. They knew pretty much, and I worked with a couple on the, and they really didn't know jack shit about music. So he's gone, man. I mean, it might be a great album. It's not his fault who his fans are. But I'm going to replace it with the legendary Son House, father of the folk blues. Now the rumor goes Robert Johnson went to the crossroads and made a deal with the devil. What a load. He went up to the Mississippi Hill country and took some lessons from this guy. That's what happened. Okay, next. We got Brian Eno, Ambient One, music for airports. Talk about a load. I'm replacing that with a ISS, Endless Pussyfootin'. Just a fantastic album. It's two dudes. I think they sample drums from punk rock records. They sample the bass, and I think they play. One guy plays the guitar. And it's fantastic, man. Something like that. I don't know. But yeah, this is great. Modern punk rock music that I think everybody should hear before they die. Okay. Next one. Everybody's favorite. Such an important album. Though, I think it's a turd. It's Captain Beefheart Trout Mask Replica. Now, I'm a big Captain Beefheart fan. I have all of his albums. And some. So I'm going to replace it with an album from that era. In fact, this one probably predates it. And I believe this is Kaleidoscope's first album, Side Trips. This is a superior album to Trout Mask Replica. I don't care what anybody says. This has like Middle Eastern kind of sounds creeping in there. It's got blues. It's got psychedelic. It's got traditional folk songs, and it just really works. The singer has got a really unique voice, and I love it. I could see how some people wouldn't like it, but yeah, this is included, man. You should hear this before you die. And my final one, I'm going to go with Beyonce, Self-Titled. Now, I've never heard this album. But I do know Beyonce is very overrated. She's not a good singer. I saw Destiny's Child live, and they were horrible. They couldn't really sing. I guess the studio trickery nowadays juices it up, and she's real popular. I don't think she has a very good voice. There's way better singers around. And I'm going to replace Beyonce with Diane Coffey. What's the name of this? My Friend Fish. Fantastic album, man. Fantastic album. And that's my 30 albums that are better than Radiohead's OK Computer. Take care, everybody. This was fun. I could do another one of these. If I get a large enough response to this, I'll do another one. Actually, it doesn't matter. I'll probably do another one anyways. I ain't got nothing else to do. Take care, everybody. Go Dodgers.